Shalom Aleichem. We are going to start, continue with our learning in different controversial halachic topics, especially that are relevant to these days, the more advanced days. These are shilas that not necessarily came up hundreds of years ago because they didn't have all this technology. And we're specifically going to talk about a question that people have approached us to discuss, and that is permanent makeup. We know that people, especially women, try to put on makeup, especially in certain times when they're going out to simchas, or just even daily makeup to refreshen their look. And for a woman, that enhances her beauty, and it's very much what she does. For a man, we know there are certain halachas that a man shouldn't be doing because it's more of a woman thing. There may be exceptions and rules for this particular isser. So the discussion we're going to talk about today is permanent makeup, because as much as makeup is a good thing and it makes you beautiful, maybe it's something that specifically should be done, not in a permanent way. Because the Torah tells us in Parshas Kedoshim, the Torah says, "V'seret l'nefesh le'sitnu b'sarchem." Seret is a cut. You're not allowed to cut your flesh. But the one that we are going to be discussing is the second part of the pasuk, uksoivus kat kaka, and to attach a tattoo. Le'sitnu b'chem. A tattoo a yid is not allowed to put in a tattoo on his body. Rashi in Parshas Kedoshim says, what is a ksoivus kaka? Ksav hamachuka v'shakua she'enei nimchak la'elam. A writing that's deep under the skin that will not be able to be taken out forever. And the Rashi even quotes the process that he sticks it in with a needle deep under, and he fills up that area with ink. We're still going to talk about, Baruch Hashem, we have Eliezer and Uriel here. They are well equipped in doing some research. They're going to help us out with this point, how it's done. But I want to look at it from the halachic perspective. In a sense, once we know now that a tattoo is not a Yiddish thing. It's actually prohibited. For those who don't want to put on makeup every day, there's this option that they go to a professional and they put in a makeup that lasts, makes your eyes look fresh. I don't know. We'll soon hear what people do, and it wouldn't be borderline of kservis kaka. But I want to give a small introduction with two short divrei Torah. Number one, the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem, that every human is beloved by Hashem because he was created B'Tselem, with the form, with the image of God. It doesn't say Chaviv Yehudi. It says every person really has within him the Tselem, because the Mishnah goes on, Chavivim Yisrael Shenikru Bonim L'Makim. But the Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem, the image of God, of course, by the Yidden, it's in the higher level, but it's by every human. So what is the image? So if we are given this great present, the image of God, what's wrong with how he gave it to us? God is perfect. A person should be happy with what he has. On top of that, the difference between the mad rush of enhancing your physical appearance versus not being so crazy about it, this could even be the difference in the different religions. We all know that the Greeks, the Yevonim, they worship their bodies, and they were always looking to do exercise. I understand the Olympics are attributed to the Greeks. That's all about body, gashmistic behavior on how to look better and stronger and nicer, which is even the Torah says that every yid should present himself in a very nice way. But to put your whole mindset and your focus into how you look and to look buffed is not the first thing on our list. Our list is to develop better more better, nicer midas, better understanding, wisdom. That's where we've put on our focus. So a yid puts his main emphasis and main focus in intellectual items, into feelings, into emotions. And the Greeks and many of the other guys put that aside, and they put the main focus into physical appearance. I read a verse lately that I think is very much connected to this. In the parsha, it says, "Nasoy Yisroish b'ner Gershon." We find many times in the Torah that it says, "Nasoy Yisroish," count the head. That's the literal translation. But the Chassidish Taich was, by the Jews, Nasoy, what do we uplift? We uplift the Rosh. We make an issue about the mind, make an issue about the intellectual part. We don't make such issue of the guf, the physical appearance. With that said, again, it's very important to look menschlich, very important and to look presentable, very important to look good. And the Gemara and the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says that one of the great attributes of certain Tanaim was they looked beautiful. For a leader, for a Kohen Gadol to get that position, he has to look beautiful. He has to have an appearance. The question is where your focus is. Where your focus is. By Avshalom, for example, it says the reason why Avshalom thought that he had to fight his father, David HaMelech, because he was always put together. He always looked like $1 million. So it got to his head. So again, a person should try to look presentable. A person should like to try to look good. However, to put your focus in that is not the Yiddish derech. With that said, a person wants to look good. The women want to look good, so they want to put on makeup. So put on the whole spiel every day. Might take some time. So they found this new thing called permanent makeup that you put it under the skin, and we'll soon hear how it's done. And once it's under the skin, they don't have to do it every day. It looks like it's fresh. So the question, the halacha again, is this tattoo? Is this a tattoo? So Uriel and Eliezer, could you give us a little background about this procedure? And then we'll come to the conclusion if it's a question of a tattoo.
Well, should I go? I'll go. Well, from what I've read in interviews with makeup artists, they use the term tattoo. They call these permanent makeups tattoo. To quote, cosmetic tattoo artists use a superfine pen. So how does it work? It works as I'll quote the article. Cosmetic tattoo artists use a superfine pen directly under the skin. So unlike tattoos are strong inks that go much deeper.
A lot deeper and a lot more. The whole difference is that it's a very small amount, so it just makes it a slightly different shade.
And normal tattoos are more profound and they have more ink and they
much more detailed,
much more and much deeper.
Let me ask you, when you say the word
deeper, cosmetic tattoos require checkups.
When you say the word deeper, it's a little scary. What's the you have a amount? What's the normal? How deep does the normal tattoo go, and how deep? I mean, it's when we're talking about
Well, it goes.
There is a skin that has like 5 layers to it, and if I remember correctly, it goes to the 4th layer.
Wow,
which one? The permanent?
Maybe the
permanent one?
No, the
regular tattoos go to the 4th. Well, I would think that the
cosmetic tattoos
will go to the 2nd or 3rd.
Yes, they are generally more lighter than normal tattoos. They're not as intense.
So the actual procedure.
There's many forms of permanent tattoos.
What's that? So the actual procedure of sticking a needle in and putting ink there, they're both the same. But the one, a regular tattoo, it goes deeper and it stays. And because it goes deeper, you put in more, it stays longer. This one the makeup tattoo, whatever you would call it,
Yes.
it doesn't go so deep, and they don't put so much ink in it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they use more like pigmentations, more like just coloring, while tattoos use actual ink, which is permanent.
Okay,
So the colors could fade away.
what are there other differences between that and a regular tattoo? Are there any other differences?
It's
Uh-huh.
tattoo. Many permanent makeup artists dress it as tattoos.
I don't hear you.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said.
They're called cosmetic tattoo.
Right.
Oh, they're tattoos. They any makeup artist will call it a tattoo. They're called cosmetic tattoos. Much tattoos, but on a lighter level, and for different, they use different procedures. Just it's different colors. It's a lighter color, and it's just less intense than a normal tattoo.
All right. So, are there anything else I should know about the procedure before I get to the halachic view? Anything is?
I mean, there's many usages of the tattoos. There's for the eyebrows, for the lips. The lips are actually less permanent than like the eyebrows. The eyebrows they can last for they require 12 to 18 months checkups, while the lips require like a year checkup, like a less than 12-month checkup, because lip skin is more, I would say, fragile. I don't think that's the best word, but it reacts different than normal skin.
So let me ask you.
And as well, that's another thing worth mentioning.
The what?
The lip blushing uses red. The lip blushing, lip tattoos.
Yes.
They use red pigmentation, which red pigmentation, as we know, could use bugs. And I mean, I don't think, which is a concern when it comes to red dye. It's concerning kosher in the kosher world about red dye in food, because red dye uses bugs. But also these red dyes could be allergic. I would have to presume because of the bugs, but there could be bugs as well in red.
Right, specifically red.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just started a whole nother. The type of color they use might have bugs. I never looked at that. But let's say the actual coloring is not the problem. It's dye, and for whatever reason you don't have to be worried. So you brought up the point of going for checkups. If somebody gets a tattoo, a real tattoo, is it a one-time thing, or do you have to go for checkups, or is this by every, or only for this type of tattoo, this type of makeup?
It always depends on how.
Huh?
Well,
it always depends on how intense and how like detailed you want it to be. Like the bigger and the more details it has, the longer it will take.
And well, tattoos, normal tattoos, if I'm not mistaken, are permanent.
If they do.
They do fade a bit, but they can definitely see the tattoo nonetheless. They warp and they change just like your body changes, but they are pretty much permanent.
So, for example, if you're saying it's permanent, you're running into another discussion, and that is, if a person decides that he made a mistake, he didn't know at the time that he did it that it's a prohibition to make a tattoo. Is there any way to undo a tattoo? Is there any way to erase a tattoo? Because that's a separate discussion.
Yeah.
A permanent tattoo there is, but then you're saying there isn't. But then you're running in if you have to dig very deep to take it out. There's a prohibition of harming your body. Would you allow to be able to go through the procedure of harming your body to take out a tattoo? I want to tell you that the tattoo issue has many shilas. It has the shilah also of a chatzitza. If a man or a woman has to go to the mikvah, they have to be as is, no additional stuff stuck onto him or dirt. And what would be the status of a man or a woman that has a tattoo? Is that considered a chatzitza? This is a question for itself. Let's get to back to our original question, and that is if somebody wants to avoid the rush and the everyday needing to put on makeup, why can't they just do something to make themselves look fresh? And it's not that permanent as a tattoo. So let me tell you that this discussion is actually a big machlokes in today's poskim, based on the ruling of the Rishonim of when the Isser of Ksovas Kaka, a tattoo, applies. There is a Sefer Taras Habayis, Chela Gimel, and that the Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, was leaning towards, if a person really needs it for a reason, it's not the end of the world. However, there are many poskim that disagree. Many poskim say clearly that this should never be done. It's definitely borderline Ksovas Kaka, and despite the loopholes you may find, it's not what should be done. And let me give you the background. When the Torah said that you shouldn't do a Ksovas Kaka, tattoo, as mentioned before, as I quoted from Rashi, there are a couple of points that the Torah seems to apply. It shouldn't be a writing incision.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be a permanent incision, a permanent thing, and this is part of the writing, and it's sort of borderline avodah zara. Let me explain. When the Chazal tell us that you shouldn't have a writing tattoo, writing something, letters, perhaps even one letter, that it seems to be, according to some Rishonim, that was because that was a sign of who you're dedicating your life and spirit to what avodah zara, to what idol worshiping you're connected to. So the letter was the symbol to what group or to what idol you are. So as a boundary, as making sure you don't do avodah zara, as an extension to that, you weren't allowed to have, the Torah says, no tattoos of writing. So let's take that into our situation. Nobody's writing letters. They're just inserting colors. So that may be a loophole. Another thing, when the Torah says not to have a tattoo, the Torah was talking about a tattoo that is permanent, that is there forever. A permanent tattoo, which is lasts a lifetime, that is what we call a tattoo. But one that's not doesn't last a lifetime, and as you guys said, you have to go for checkups. And I think the common practice is this lasts 3 to 7 years. But once 7 years or somewhere around that is over, the color fades away. So there's another loophole. Perhaps that would not be the tattoo that's prohibited. So therefore, for example, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef held that if somebody needs this makeup as a pressing medical need or preserving human dignity, such as a scar removal or a blemish correction, he held that he used the principle that maybe the fact that you're not comfortable with the way you look, the fact that there will be a lack of covered habriyos, it will we could overlook the possibility of an issue of a kaka, of a tattoo. Now listen to what he's doing here, what Rabbi Ovadia Yosef is doing. Those Rishonim that say that a tattoo is only if it's letters or permanent, even they say if it's not letters and it's not permanent, it's still prohibited by the Rabbanon. They're only saying that the biblical Isser That's only in the letters and permanent. But everybody agrees that midrabanon, even the lower form is still prohibited. So, but what's the difference if it's asr min atayra or asr min rabbanon? The difference is something that says asr min atayra, I can't ever allow you to bend. The Torah doesn't want it. The Torah doesn't want it. But something which is only asr min rabbanon, there is some room for bending, where we find a halacha that kavod habriyos overrules Isser the Rabbanon. So if there would be a situation, people use that for toilet paper on Shabbos in the bathroom. People say if you're cutting the toilet paper on Shabbos and you're not cutting it on the line, it's only a rabbinic prohibition. From the other hand, going out without toilet paper, it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be respectful. So I'm using that as an example. It's a funny example. But here, inserting ink at the lower levels of skin, and it's not writing, it's prohibited only with the rabbanon. From the other hand, the pros are the woman or the man will look nicer, or it will make her scar go away, not be noticed. So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef said he is to lean that this is allowed to be done. However, many other Rishonim, many other Achronim disagree with him, and they say the contemporary consensus is just for the sake of beauty, that if you're just doing it to make yourself look good, and you don't have the reason of a scar or medical, does not seem enough of a heter, a reason to allow these type of tattooing. You get it? So this is basically the reason, the loopholes, what logic would have allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So for a medical procedure, for a scar, maybe, because of what Rabbi Ovadia Yosef found the loophole. But if it's just because you're lazy to put on a makeup every day, you still have, according to everybody, you still for sure have an Isser D'Rabbanan, and it might even be an Isser D'Oraisa. So he said not to do it. Most of the place can say not to do it. 1 second.